right, yesterday, Kendall Lamm was supposed to have said a lot of stuff about the culture of the Eagles, why they were successful, and why we weren't. Today, Kendall Lamm came out and said that he didn't say these things, and there has been a ton of fallout on certain content providers, and a brouhaha has kind of emerged. So I want to get into this understanding that content providers need some mercy, but we got to keep our minds fixed on how did we get here? How did they buy into it so quickly? And what is this all going to mean? So that'll be my thing for the day, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. That keeps me in the biz. So I appreciate all that you do helping me out with that. I'm sure there's more, but the comments came out from Lamb and they spread like wildfire. Guys like Papart getting some junk on putting this forward without vetting it back to its source. Dudley Durong, another guy. And I'm sure there's others. And to be truthful, I might have been on that list too if my son's birthday wasn't yesterday. So thank God for that. This gig is very difficult, guys. You're battling with fans on a Twitter. You're trying to put Twitter content out. You got content providers trying to be your friend, trying to then stabbing in your back or coming out right, trying to knock you down. Then you're trying to do your content. Then you're trying to study for the game. There's a lot of balls in the air. It's easy to drop this stuff, even if you're in the big times, because big times have an editor who's supposed to say, well, did you check this source out? But even those guys, they have these things fall through the cracks and make mistakes. It happens. We really need more mercy here. There's a lot of stuff to get on people. I don't ever think to the extent that some people do, but I don't think this is one of them, especially if they come out and apologize. Because, guys, there's a lot going on in the background here that has driven this to the point where it is so easily palatable. It's so believable. And instead of focusing on the content providers who made mistakes, one slip up in your protocol, and I've done it, you get yourself one of these situations. But again, the vast amount of work that people that like me, these are bigger guys, doing every day, it's very, very easy, guys. So please have some mercy. This fan base is so sad in not having the glory that we should and what we used to have. We're unhappy, and it's very easy to kind of lash out like a wounded dog. Mercy is in such rare commodity in this community, in this world. Please have some mercy for these guys and save maybe your ire for when they're putting out maybe stories, me too, that is not true and it's over a long period of time. This stuff, it happens. You've done it in your Twitter feeds or in your conversations. Just imagine being someone in the content business. So, it's very easy for, I mentioned in the comments this situation, and I didn't vet it back. I even retweeted it from one of them in my Twitter thing. I was out and just, doing my thing. But it's so easily believable. Why? Because there's so much evidence. You've got Deshaun Elliott talking about it. You had Ramsey speaking about it beginning of the season last year. You had Poyer talking about it. You see with Tyreek Hill. And then you had Chubb come out this year and say, we knew this wasn't true last year, but we put it out anyway to lie. You can fluff it up, but we lied to you. The players, the team. And I understand from their point of view, what are they going to say? We're screwed up? You can't do that. But still, there is so much stuff, plus our own eyes, we see. And so, guys, the reason that this was so transmitted so quickly without maybe going back to the source, like you should, but it happens, is because this team has been, as I said, in 2021, probably longer, a den of snakes. More of a show than real go franchise. And so the real ire should be on the leadership that has put all this into play and has made it happen. I mean, McDaniel, I don't think the guy had the easiest job. This wasn't an easy gig to come in as a green head coach who sat in the booth, was run game coordinator, asked to be HC, asked to be OC, and needs to win right now. That's not an easy gig. But these things should have been ironed out, certainly in the install, but given how green he was, you get it. And maybe if you want to be very liberal, by the end of year 2. But this was lingering fiercely like a malignant wound in year 3, and we're talking about it in year 4. That's crazy. And so this whole thing has been germinated by dysfunctional leadership at the top. I believe in top down. Things at the top, the leadership sets everything on the bottom, and if things fail at the bottom, you blame the top. We understand that this long-standing dysfunction has gone back past McDaniel, even past Greer really being in total charge in 2016 or 19, if you want to say. So this is a long-standing problem. It's why it's such a hot-button topic for Fins fans, especially the older ones. Remember, yeah, there was always stuff going on in the background, but it was way, 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 way more functional than it is now. And so we've got to remember this den of snakes, this corporate structure, this optics approach over actual football. It's why we're here and why certain reports came out so quickly. And despite it not being true, because Lamm said it wasn't true, it really talks about the essence of what this team is, this franchise is. That is true. There's no denying it. But the was and the is what we're hoping to see a difference in. Will we? Now, guys, you can change culture. You can. Do we have the strength? Do we have the character to do it? Do we have the acumen? I don't know. But you can. If you see a real change to a real football structure, you'll see big dividends. I'm not talking Super Bowl, but, coherency, toughness. But we won't know until the season starts, and we won't know until we hit that tough spot. Tough times bring out character. So we're not going to know if it's the truth because they told us last year it was the truth and we found it wasn't. Do we know if this is the truth? We won't know until we hit hard times. Will the hard times start early? I don't know. Will they hit midway? I don't know. Will they hit late? I don't know. They will hit. And when they hit, we'll know the truth. And that should be our focus over certain guys making mistakes. And maybe I want to say give them grace because I'd like to have some grace once in a while when I screw up. And I am not always as diligent as I need to be. But this is not an easy gig. But we're small potatoes, even the big guys. When you compare them to Greer and the front office and the regime and the franchise, there's these billion-dollar groups putting together this stuff. And even the biggest content provider is small potatoes as far as resources and ability. So again, we need to point this back to Greer, to Ross, to McDaniel, to the players. They're the ones making millions. They're supposedly the professionals, and they're professionals and millionaires and billionaires working together. They should have it right way more than we do, and they really have it. So will we get it this year? There's a lot of things that point to maybe we will. But I'll say, people will say, we got to keep Ramsey. Remember Rashad Jones in his last season with Flores' first season? He was a cancer in the background, chirping to Minkah Fitzpatrick. And that played out. That malignancy kind of permeated through the rest of the DB group. He was a leader, a powerful force people respected, and it played a part. How big a part, I don't know. But you can get stuff like that from 1, 2, 3 guys. And you got Hill, who's trying to do the right thing, but when does he go full narcissist? So Ramsey getting something obviously for him will help the possibility. Hill, you can't get rid of him to the end of the season. But those are the two main factors where you'd say we got problems. There is a real opportunity with these young guys, the good guys like the Sealers and the Brooks, even Jacksons. You might not like Jackson, but he's not going to make problems. Even Eichenberg, he's not going to make problems. So there's a real possibility, but we have to also look at these other major influences. But the fact goes back to, yes, Greer and Ross, but McDaniel's the head coach. He's in his 4th season. This should have been resolved year 2, as I said. Year 1, year 2 certainly, year 3. This is year 4. It's going to be a wonderful evaluation to see if a guy can go from Mr. Happy, Mr. Positive to tightening up the screws. It's not going to be easy. Because you have to kind of win to get this stuff going at this stage. Year one, you can lose like Flores did and still tighten the things up. But if there's a series of losses, then it's going to make it geometrically more difficult for McDaniel. But we have to see. And it's this core issue beyond the audibles, beyond getting the plays in time. Those are all important too, his health, all this other stuff. If this chemistry does get resolved, it will create a real framework to build off. But if it doesn't, it will suck everything down. And it probably will cost McDaniel his tenure with the Dolphins. It will probably cost the season. But we won't know until hard times come. That's what I said when we got McDaniel in here. His personality style, when he was hired, that's what I said, is great when you're winning. It's go juice because everyone feels good, so you make them feel better. But when hard times come, if you don't have the ability to get people to grab their bootstraps and pull themselves up, I thought that his personality could become a problem. And that's what it's come out to. So this will be the year for core evaluations. But whatever the evaluation is to McDaniel, if it fails, we've got to keep bringing it back up to the higher levels, top down. But the last part is we don't control. We pay all this money. We give our souls. We do all this content. But in the end, we don't have control. And they don't really respect us, as you can tell. They lie to us and they deceitful and all that. I'm sure they want to win and they care to some extent. But really, the bottom-up approach is what we have to take. We have to be nicer to people. Even content providers among content providers. It is dog-eat-dog world. I am learning so much about how Game of Thrones, this content providing business is. Some very great guys. There's some guys that play both sides, and then there's some guys that are just really assassins. But then as fan base, we're hurting. The other fan bases laugh at us and mock on us when we get crashed. Yes, you can disagree, but let's try to build this thing from ground up as far as being merciful and positive, even if it's not the best thing for the franchise. Because what else? We're already miserable. We're already desperate. So try to get some kumbaya going through this. All we can really do. This is supposed to be about fun, and we've got to try to be nice to each other. This fan base is, in a way, a family and a brotherhood. The content providers are a piece of that. I know at a certain point you've got to say what it is and just kind of say it sometimes harshly, but let's have some mercy. Understanding that Lamm, it might have been, it seems like it's a false quote, but it's the truth. But it's not about the content providers missing that quote. It's about the reality of what this franchise has been for a very long time, was clearly peaking out last year, but maybe this year it's different. Let's see. Still some hope. Plenty of time. Curtis saying, be well. Go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.